Working mom, and she goes, it can be incredibly overwhelming. Oh my gosh, I just need a break.
Wow.
And we find out she's had a full-time nanny for 5 years.
What?
Who takes the kids to school.
What do you guys do at home?
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
4 years. Meghan Markle has managed her picture with the skill of a movie maker. Every camera position, every news story, every casual picture made like a part from her own princess movie. But when the cameras turn off and the filming stops, what really goes on behind those big house doors? One woman who was there, one who watched, listened, and experienced it, says the fairy tale wasn't what the world heard. This isn't just another princess gossip tale. This is the voice Meghan never wanted you to hear. The babysitter who says that being inside the Sussex house felt less like taking care of kids and more like living through a perfectly planned fake story.
Illusion.
Another nanny nightmare for Meghan Markle and Prince Harry.
She says the instructions were weird, the feeling stressful, and the family times more practiced than genuine behind Meghan's amazing talks about kindness and being real. This person inside shows a different view, one of power, secrets, and a scary question that no image helpers can explain away. If the Sussex family living was really so great, why did those who stayed inside its rooms feel like strangers watching from outside? And just when you believe you've learned it all, wait until you learn what she says about Archie and Lilibet.
The nanny that the couple have been relying on for some time wants out.
Because she says, that's where the tale changes from weird to surprising. Before the babysitter ever walked inside the Sussex big house, the job paper alone made her stop. It wasn't a princess job post. It seemed more like an actor search. Every word was exact, every need strangely private. Meghan, she was told, needed a helper who was quiet, flexible, and not attention-getting. Meaning, someone skilled but not too obvious. Talk among workers, suggested Meghan, didn't need anyone in her house who could steal attention from the business. People trying whispered that appearance, social standing, even dating life were secretly checked.
Nice.
Meghan Markle and Prince Harry had got through 3 nannies in just 6 weeks, and that's because working for this couple is incredibly difficult.
A babysitter with her own kids, too messy. Someone in a romance, too dangerous. The point was obvious. Your whole life must circle around Meghan's. The job didn't just need being professional. It needed complete commitment. Requests for being flexible weren't about timing, but about faithfulness. Nighttime demands, always being available, and no private life became understood rules. What should have been a family job felt more like working in a private place where one bad word could finish everything. Even weirder, people applying were told the kids' time was on Meghan's choices only. No set times, no easy warmth, no normal connecting, just commands, quietness, and exactness. The babysitter almost said no until interest beat her worries, because under all those smooth directions, one sentence stood out. All actions within the home are watched closely. She didn't understand how real that warning actually was.
Once the agency creates a list of potential hires, you meet with that nanny. Then you have to meet with another one of Meghan's assistants. These are 2 separate auditions. Then you sign an NDA, which grants you access to Harry and Meghan. So this is the 3rd interview.
When the babysitter came to the Sussex building, she thought there'd be an interview, not a tryout under watching eyes. From the second she walked through the entrance, something felt wrong. The house was perfect, but strangely silent, as if every noise had been carefully practiced. She was told to do a regular test day, caring for the space, watching daily habits, staying calm. What nobody said was that every step, every action was being filmed. Secret cameras caught how she moved, how she talked, even how she grinned. Later, she discovered this wasn't just protection. It was Meghan's way of studying possible workers like actors in her own private show. Those who seemed too sure were called difficult. Those too silent were not interesting enough. The point wasn't just getting a babysitter. It was getting someone who could fit perfectly into Meghan's planned universe. When the real interview finally happened, Meghan's questions felt more like checks of personality management than childcare knowledge. How do you deal with being fixed? She asked. How do you react when people misunderstand your reasons? Gentle yet showing. It was obvious the job needed emotional following, not just ability.
The agency has specifically been instructed to hide Harry and Meghan's identity from the applicant. They just want to make sure you're comfortable working with Meghan because of her reputation.
By the finish of the day, the babysitter understood she hadn't met a family. She'd stepped into a show, and like any show, one person always had ending approval power. From the outside, the Sussexes looked together, a princess couple making their own way. But inside the walls of their California house, quiet arguments showed a bigger separation. Harry, raised within a world of rules and proper behavior, thought their kids needed the same professional care he'd grown up around. He wanted a Norland babysitter, properly taught, quiet, and faithful to princess ways. To him, that represented steadiness. Meghan saw things differently. She wanted someone current, someone who matched her California way of living. Relaxed, fashionable, socially smart. The fight wasn't about childcare. It was about who they were. Harry's world worked on responsibility. Meghan's worked on appearance. Every detail from the babysitter's speaking style to the way she dressed became a fight between two ideas of family living. People say the fights weren't loud, but tight, filled with long quietness and nice smiles, hiding annoyance. Harry would mention his mother's warmth. Meghan answered with freedom and privacy. Behind the perfect Instagram grins, two beliefs quietly crashed. In the finish, Meghan's idea won. The old-fashioned uniform was removed. The proper behavior disappeared. What stayed was a house that showed her, planned, beautiful and strongly managed.
I'm working so hard. Is she really? Or is she just saying she is?
Well, according to their tax documents, they work 1 hour a week.
Harry changed, but those near to him saw the difference. The babysitter, standing in the center of it all, started to understand this wasn't just a home. It was a business and even love. Inside those walls seemed to require permission. Among the quiet talks that moved through the Sussex home, one subject stood different, and nobody dared talk of it clearly. The babysitter, doing long hours within the big house, started to see something strange. Despite her constant being there were no signs of an expecting mother. No morning visits from doctors, no baby care habits, no pregnancy clothes left in washing baskets or signs of getting ready for a baby. At first, she pushed it away as privacy. Meghan, after all, valued management over her personal picture. But as days changed into months, the quietness became impossible to miss. Workers quietly shared looks but stopped asking questions. When public pictures showed Meghan with a baby belly, confusion moved through those who'd been there all along. The babysitter later admitted she didn't want to trust the rumors. Yet her time went against what the world watched. It just didn't match, she remembered. I never saw what I was supposed to watch. Some workers were warned not to speak, told that certain things are not to be talked about. The air grew thick with worry, as if the truth itself was shut away behind those clean walls. For a woman who made her business on being real, the opposites were disturbing. And for those who'd stayed inside that world, one question remained like an echo in an empty baby room. What exactly were they guarding? Privacy, or how things looked?
Perception.
I'm a great mum, I'm a great wife, I'm a great friend, I'm also incredibly modest. I mean, what a boaster. Stop boasting about yourself. What's wrong with her? She is racked with epic insecurity, isn't she?
Weeks changed into months. Yet, something about the Sussex house felt strangely unfinished. The rooms were clean, almost like museums, too perfect for a home meant to ring with the happiness of small kids. The babysitter looked for signs of Archie and Lilibet. Thrown toys, marker marks, handprints on windows, tiny clothes and baskets. But there was nothing. No bedtime habits, no sounds of babies crying, not even a lost baby toy. It was as if the thought of children was there, but not their being. She asked herself if maybe the children lived somewhere else for privacy. But even on days when family meetings were said to happen, the house stayed strangely quiet. Food was made yet not eaten. Play areas stayed shut, as though decorations for a picture that never occurred. The quietness grew stronger than any noise. Workers talked carefully, their eyes moving toward the always there cameras. Nobody wanted to be the first to wonder about it. One cleaning person whispered that everything here is controlled, even what we're supposed to believe. For the babysitter, the uncomfortable feeling became too much. The public watched a loving family. She watched to act without watchers, and the more she looked for proof of normal family living, the more she started to feel that something important, something human was gone. Her quiet wondering changed into certainty. This house had children in its tale, but not in its truth. When the Sussex's Netflix show finally came out, the babysitter watched like the rest of the world, but for her, it was personal. The shiny videos of family living looked nothing like the house she knew. The living room decorations were slightly different. The glass faced another way. Even the sunshine fell differently across the furniture. "That wasn't our house," she whispered to a former coworker. "At least not the one we worked in."
But trust me, this is all part of Meghan's sinister plan to commercialize her children, to pimp them out for financial gain, and I'm not being sucked in by it at all.
Parts showed Meghan holding Archie, Harry laughing in a comfortable California yard, soft music playing under their smiles. But to those who'd spent real time inside their property, something felt wrong. Too clean, too perfectly bright. It looked less like home recording, more like an advertisement for home happiness. She stopped on one picture, Meghan sitting on the ground, toys thrown around her. To the watchers, it felt close. To the babysitter, it felt arranged. The background didn't match the design she'd remembered while cleaning every space. Even the noise of the children's laughter seemed changed. Too clear, too easily placed. The understanding was frightening. If the show wasn't showing truth, what was it hiding? What was real and what was simply made to be believed? As ending names rolled, the babysitter couldn't lose the thought that the program wasn't recording a life. It was creating one. Being in the Sussex home felt less like helping a family and more like staying inside a guarded castle. From the second workers came, personal phones were taken. Each visitor, cleaner, and yard worker had to go through many checking points, their things sealed in dark bags before walking inside. Talking was kept to what was needed for work. Anything beyond that, even friendly small talk, could be reasons for being fired. The babysitter remembered how the air itself felt watched. Cameras observed hallways, doorways, and even the outside paths. There were whispers that microphones had been secretly placed into certain rooms for safety purposes. But to workers, it didn't feel like safety. It felt like spying. People stopped trusting each other. Friendships changed into stiff politeness. A simple question like, "How are you?" could get a warning for going too far. Meghan's want for privacy, the babysitter understood, had become an obsession, one that mixed the difference between protection and extreme worry. Even Harry, once relaxed and warm, seemed more pulled back under the constant tightness. His laugh, uncommon now, sounded briefly in hallways, then disappeared like it wasn't allowed to be there. By the finish of each day, workers left silent, tired, and uncomfortable. The house that promised calmness had changed into a stage made on secrets, and behind those perfectly cut bushes, trust had become the hardest thing to find of all.
Archie and Lily have finally been unmasked. Oh, H, they're already out there. They're already out there, H. So of course I've got to use them to sell my clothes, to sell my wine, to sell my makeup, to sell whatever else comes next, probably children's clothing at some point.
The babysitter started to see a strange routine. Every time cameras or picture takers were planned to visit, the entire feeling inside the house changed. Rooms that sat empty for weeks were suddenly filled with flowers and kids' toys that hadn't been there before. Covers appeared nicely folded on seats, books placed just right, and framed pictures of the family appeared overnight. It was a natural mess. It was a stage being prepared for a part. On one certain morning, Meghan's group got ready for a private family picture session. The children were supposedly there, but the house stayed silent. No giggles, no crying, no movement upstairs. When the picture takers came, Meghan appeared glowing, calm, together, camera ready. Every position seemed practiced, every connection timed. She smiled, looked down sweetly, then turned slightly toward the camera. To the babysitter, it wasn't being a mother, it was selling. Later, when the famous chicken house pictures came out, Meghan in jeans feeding birds with the kids, workers shared uncomfortable looks. None of them remembered that moment ever happening. The place looked familiar, but the children in the pictures didn't. It became obvious that family parts weren't caught. They were built. Each picture, each smiling frame helped a story, not a memory. And as the babysitter looked through the glowing headlines praising Meghan's real family living, she felt only a quiet coldness. Because behind those perfect pictures reality had long been cut out. In the finish, the babysitter's tale isn't one of getting back. It's one of years spent inside a house where truth was changed through appearance. She picked to step out from the darkness and talk. Not for fame, but for calmness. Her story may never show in shiny interviews or smooth shows, but it stays rough, disturbing, and unchanged. What she talked about wasn't hate, but sadness. A quiet watching of how being real can disappear behind the light of a camera. For all the beauty, privacy, and strength, the most scary thing inside those walls wasn't trouble. It was quietness. And maybe that's the real discovery, that sometimes the tales we're shown are made not to teach us, but to guard the people who made them. If this tale left you wondering what's real and what's practiced, you won't want to miss what came before it. In our earlier look about how Harry isn't surprised as Sarah Ferguson told about Meghan's boat days with Andrew, the mystery parts behind Meghan's carefully formed past start to fall into place. So before you leave, make sure to watch it now on Star Spotlight, where the truth behind the headlines is always just one story away.